Okay, last, let's do some arithmetic operations on odd and even functions. So let's say, meron akong dalawang function, si P at si Q. Pareho silang even. Yung product ba nila magiging odd? Will it remain even or baka hindi na? Hindi natin alam yung graph, so we can't base our answers from the graph. So what do? We evaluate using f of negative x. So f of negative x, this is the same as p of negative x times q of negative x. But what do we know? We know that p and q are even. So p of negative x, babalik lang tayong p of x. Q of negative x, babalik lang tayong q of x. And what do we get? We're back at the original function, f of x. So since f of negative x remains f of x, then we could say that this function is an even function. And since wala naman tayong in-specify kung anong klaseng even function siya, totoo to for all even functions. The product of two even functions is even. Now, suppose p is odd and q is even. Let's take their quotient naman. Let r of x be p of x all over q of x. Is the function odd or even? Well, we don't have a graph, so i-evaluate natin siya using negative x. So r of negative x, this is p of negative x all over q of negative x. Pero kasi odd si p of x eh. So p of negative x, this is equivalent to negative p of x. And q of negative x, since q is even, babalik lang tayo dun sa q of x na yun. So what do we have here? Pag nilabas natin yung negative sign, this is the same as negative p over q. But p over q is equal to r. So r of negative x, this is equal to negative r of x. So ano ibig sabihin nun? Means that r of x is an odd function. We can use the results of this proof to say that the quotient of an odd function and an even function is an odd function. Let's try addition naman. So kunyari, p is odd and q is even, same as a previous example. Let s of x, for sum, be equal to the sum of p and q. Is s of x odd or even? Again, we don't have a graph, so we evaluate at negative x. S of negative x is equal to p of negative x plus q of negative x. Pero alam natin odd si p. So p of negative x is equal to negative p of x. And since q is even, q of negative x is equal to q of x. So this is what we have. Is it equal to s of x? It's not. Is it the negative of p plus q? Hindi rin. So hindi siya equal sa s of x, hindi siya equal sa negative s of x, then it's neither odd nor even. So to recap, yung ginawa natin today, nireview natin yung concept ng symmetries, specifically mirror reflection and rotational symmetries. Define natin kung ano yung even function using yung idea ng symmetry. So these are graphs that are symmetric with respect to mirror reflection across the y-axis. Yung odd functions naman, gumamit din tayo ng symmetry para i-define siya. These are graphs that are symmetric with respect to a 180-degree rotation about the origin. Tapos tinignan natin na kung hindi natin alam yung graphs, pero alam natin yung function, we could evaluate the function at negative x and look at the result para magkaroon tayo ng way of determining if a function is odd or even. So if you evaluate at negative x at bumalik lang tayo sa original function, then the original function is even. Kung in-evaluate natin yung function at negative x at ang nakuha natin ay negative f of x, so again, ano yung ibig sabihin nito? F of x is equal to negative f of negative x, meaning nag-flip sa x, nag-flip sa y, or nag-rotate 180 degrees, pareho pa rin. We say that the function is odd. And nag-multiply, divide, and add and subtract tayo ng odd and even functions to see how the arithmetic operations will affect the parity. Parity yung masabi natin kung odd or even yung isang function. So thank you very much and I'll see you dun sa next video natin.